to be here to share more with you. I'm going to share my screen so that we have my presentation. Are you all able to see the Club Coach program? Okay, I gotta move my people over to my other screen. So I do have notes. I'm gonna be very honest. I am a Toastmaster, but I can still use notes. If our elected officials can use notes, I can use notes as well. So this is going to be an interactive, fun, hopefully, time period together. I will ask questions. You can ask questions as well. I'll have natural pauses where you can ask questions. You can also put questions in the chat. And a natural period when I pause and I ask the right questions, our Club Growth Director, Tom Assiso, will let me know if there are any questions in the chat. So thank you so much for doing that. Let's advance the next slide. Was working. There we go. Okay, so our agenda today, we're going to talk about ideal clubs according to Toastmasters. We're going to talk about the Club Coach program from the club perspective. We're going to talk about the club program from the coach perspective as well. We're going to talk about benefits, and then you're going to hear some success stories. I find that it's always beneficial to hear from the people who have had success with the club coaching, to hear stories from them. And I'll stop sharing my screen at that time as well. So first up, I want to get us grounded in Toastmaster International mission statement. If this is not something that your club regularly does and showcases the mission, whether it be at open houses, at regular events, it is something that I strongly encourage you to incorporate in your club, because it is a great reminder. Maybe you're voting somebody in as a member. This is a great reminder of what they're signing up for. So the Toastmasters mission, the mission of a Toastmasters club, is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. That is why we're all here. We're all here to fulfill that mission. Oh, so my question before I go to the next one, you already saw the first one. So my question for you is, what do you think, and just throw some ideas out, hands or speak up, what do you think an ideal club looks like according to Toastmasters? What do you think is something that an ideal club does? Anybody? Yes, Tom.
An ideal club has 20 or more members, and it has an agenda, and it has a welcoming, fun environment.
Yes. Anybody else want to add to that? So an agenda, 20 paid members, a fun and welcoming environment.
People who actually work the program.
Yep. People who actually work the program. That's great. All right. So, yes, Jenny.
Speeches and evaluations at every meeting.
Speeches and evaluations at every meeting. Absolutely. Fill the roles for every meeting, welcome guests at meeting, have the most members attend every meeting, feature creative table topics and engaging meeting themes, have members who progress through the pathways learning experience, and have members who provide effective and supportive evaluations. So Toastmasters specifically says this is what an ideal club looks like, and this is what they have. So think about your own personal club and think, does your club include any of these? If any of these are missing, think about how you may be able to incorporate these so that you have the ideal Toastmaster club. All right, next up. Does your club need a coach? Here are some ways to think about, does your club need a coach? First of all, what is the Club Coach program? That's what we're here to talk about. So the Club Coach program is intended to partner experienced Toastmasters with clubs that are struggling. And the purpose of the program is to help clubs increase their membership and improve the quality of their meetings. That's really the goal of the Club Coach program. So again, we're going to have some audience participation. What do you think a club needs in order to be eligible to receive a coach?
Less than 12 members.
Less than 12 members, yep. Oh, sorry. Anybody else? Now that you see the slide. So a club needs to have less than 3 members, between 3 and 12 members. So they have to have at least 3 members in order to qualify, and no more than 12 members. They cannot be suspended. So basically a club would be suspended if they have less than 8 members for more than 2 consecutive cycles, and they cannot already have 2 club coaches currently appointed to them. So each club is eligible to have 2 coaches appointed to them. Yes, David. Did you accidentally raise your hand?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out where that thing was.
I love it. I love it, David. Okay. So that is what qualifies as to get a coach, essentially. Now, in the coach process, there are actually 5 steps in the club coach appointment process. So you yourself or your club happens to be like, oh, we're struggling, or maybe I reached out to you and asked you if you wanted a club coach. One of the first steps to doing the club coach is that you have to vote to have a club coach. Oh, sorry about that. You have to vote to have a club coach. Now that means talking to your members and seeing, hey, do we want a club coach? And you hold a vote. In order to vote, most clubs need a quorum, so that's more than 50% of your club needs to be available to vote for that. Once you voted and you said, yes, I want a club coach, you reach out to me or you submit the club coach form. It then comes to district leaderships and we help assist with the process. So for right now, Tom, I believe, or Sharon gets the information. They send it along to me and I work with the division directors and area directors to help identify a coach. Now, some people have come to me and said, we already know who we want as our coach. We want these people. That makes the process that much faster. I'm going to be honest. We are working on helping set up a process where we have more coaches available, but it's going to take us time to get there. But really, it's about identifying the right coach. Then the next piece is we connect the coach with the club and they meet. So they attend a meeting of the club, they attend a meeting of the officer team, they make sure that it really is a good fit. Once they are sure that it is a good fit and that they want to move forward the process, they have to submit the club coach agreement. And the club coach agreement goes over the requirements and it's signed by the coach or co-coaches, the president, and a district leader as well. And then the request is submitted to Toastmasters International. Once it's submitted to Toastmasters International, they then go through the process of making sure that the coach is eligible and that the club is eligible. Once those 2 things have been met and they have the signed agreement, they then do a formal appointment. They send an email that lets them know the appointment has happened. It shows up in the reporting that they're assigned to that club, and they can work to get credit. Hi, David. Welcome to it. Welcome to the thing. Let's see. All right. So that's the appointment. Next up. Oh, I'm going to pause there. I'm going to go back and pause. Are there any questions about that process or anything I've spoken to up to this point? I want to allow time for questions. All right, so let's move on to the next section. What do you think a coach needs to be eligible to be a coach? Who here knows what a coach needs to be eligible according to Toastmasters? David.
There's a few criteria. I believe the first one is you have to have at least have done the PAT level 2.
Yep.
You cannot be a coach from another club.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2. I'll let the other people figure out.
Yeah, great.
Their opinion.
Thank you, David. Anybody else know what else you need to be eligible to be a club coach? Jenny.
You need to have completed the club coach module.
Yes, that is brand new this year, the club coach module.
Mm-hmm.
Some other things is you need to be a paid member in good standing. So you actually need to belong to a club. As David said, you need to complete at least level 2 in a path, or if you have some advanced designations from the prior Toastmasters program, those count as well. You need to have served at least 2 6-month terms or a 1-year term as a club officer. As David said, you're not currently coaching another club. You're not a current member of the club that you wish to coach. That's something that's new. And actually, during your coaching term, they say that you can't join that club either. So you're always not going to be a member of the club. And then you need to be a member of Toastmasters for at least a year. And you have not been a member of the club that you want to coach during the past 6 months. And then the last one is, I can't see it because my bar's in the way. You have to complete as Jenny said, you have to complete the club coach module and pathways. So those are the different eligibility. So think about yourself right now. Do you have all of these? You might be eligible to be a coach if you have these. If you don't have these, what are you missing? I think it's really important that we all think about club coach as an option to help grow our leadership and communication skills, as well as giving back to Toastmasters that has given so much to each one of us. So really consider thinking about the coach thing. What are you missing? Have a conversation with your president. You could even connect with me and I'll give you my contact information at the end and talk about, oh, I don't have this. How do I get it? And we can work on getting you up to speed so you can be a club coach in the future as well. So what does it take to become to get credit as a coach? So this is good for the clubs to know. What does a coach need to complete in order for them to get credit as your club coach? So first of all, they have to be appointed by Toastmasters World headquarters prior to the start of the club coach term. You may be currently coaching a club, but you have not been appointed. Therefore, you will not get credit for what you're doing. You really need to make sure that you you do the different requirements, you fill out the club coach agreement, you get it submitted to Toastmasters International by your District 45 leadership team, and that you are appointed. So I really want to make it clear, if you are unofficially coaching a club right now, make sure to get it formally set up so that you can get coach credit when they become distinguished. You also need to serve as a club coach for a minimum of 6 months and up to 2 years. So really thinking about the timeline, our Toastmaster year ends in June. So you need to start your coaching thing by December of this year, and say the club reaches distinguished by June. You would have needed to be in there at least 6 months. So that's why I say December of this year. So get that paperwork filled out, get it submitted so that you have been appointed. So if you are able to help coach that club to distinguished in 6 months, you get credit for it. If you do it in January, that's too late. You will have to serve a whole nother year to get credit. So, but you can serve up to 2 years. Say the 2 years has come and the club still needs you as their coach. The coach can actually be reappointed for a year as well. So they need to help make sure that they've served for at least 6 months and up to 2 years or 3 years. And they need to help the club reach distinguished status during their club coach term. And distinguished status, basically you'll talk about that as a club. It includes a combination of education, membership, administrative goals that each club has, and there's a dashboard for your club that shows how your club is doing. Again, if your club is not regularly showcasing your goals and where you're at, it's definitely encouraged to let your leadership team know that they should be showcasing that so you know where you're trending towards distinguished status. All right, I just gave a lot of information. We just talked about a lot of things, so I want to pause and see if there are any questions or comments or anything anybody wants to add.
Maria, I do have a quick question and a comment.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah.
Say, other than this excellent presentation, if somebody is considering being a club coach, can anybody go into that module and check it out?
Yes, that is a great question, Tom. Yes, absolutely. Anybody can go in. You just go into your Pathways Basecamp section. There's a search bar on the top right-hand corner. You type in Club Coach. It'll usually be the first item in the drop down, and you can take that module, and that'll help give you the information that you're looking for at any time. Say you started it but didn't finish it, you can go back in and you can find it in your educational section as active, and you can quickly click on it and then finish that module. So thank you for that question, Tom. What was your comment?
My comment is that just a reminder to everybody that this is going to be recorded on our District 45 YouTube. So this is another great source. That's my only comment.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Anybody else have anything? Great. Moving forward. So now we're going to look at it from the coach perspective. We've just looked at it from the club perspective. Now let's look at it from the coach perspective. What to expect as a coach. So what do you think? Let's just spitball. What do you think that as a coach that you would be doing? What to expect? What would be something you do as a coach?
Attending meetings.
Attending meetings. Yep. Anybody else?
Well, you're going to be mentoring your club on processes, on all the things to meet the mission.
Right. Yep. Okay. Let's see. David.
Also, there's many things you can do as a club coach. Some of the things you can do is you can, while you're attending a meeting, is provide, if there's space, educationals to the club members. You can also meet with the executive team and be part of some of their decision or advice on the direction. Again, always pointing them to the tools that are already available to us instead of reinventing the wheel. I'll leave it with that for now.
Great. Thank you, David. That was great information. Anybody else have anything to add before I move forward? Hearing none, I'm going to make sure. So one of the first things that you're going to do as a club coach is you're going to build a personal rapport. You want to make sure that you're building a rapport between the club members and the club coach as well. That is key to a successful partnership. So it's not only the members, as I believe David or Todd just said, the executive team as well. You're building a relationship. You're getting to know each other. A good piece of coaching is listening. You're listening, you're observing, you're understanding kind of what's going on. You want to make sure during your first visit, that's really what you're doing. You're listening, you're observing, you're not coming up with any solutions. Yes, you're there to help coach and support them, but it's really important in your first visit that you are just observing and better understanding and getting to know people. If you happen to be on a virtual Zoom, ask the leadership if maybe there could be 10 minutes at the end of the meeting, maybe you end 10 minutes early, and you allow that time for club members to stay after and talk to you, get to know you, ask questions. A lot of you club coaches or people who have become coaches have vast experience in Toastmasters. You've been picked for coaches for a reason. You really believe in Toastmasters and what it has to offer. So let those members get to know you, but also you get to know them. Hear their concerns, what's going on with them, what do they see as solutions. So really the first visit, if you're virtual, ask for 10 minutes at the end. If you're in person, it allows, again, you can ask to end the meeting 10 minutes early, but sit there and talk with people, get to know them in person. In-person connections are so important when it comes to Toastmasters. I remember when I was a club coach, I would stay afterwards and meet with the executives and we just chit chat. We'd actually go to a restaurant because by then we did have a club officer who would get hangry. So we had to make sure we went somewhere and got food so that they were supported. And that was just a great opportunity. Tom, you have a question or a comment?
Yes, thank you. One of the things I think that's important, and you can expand on this, Maria. I know you know this very well, but I think it's also important. And if I'm getting ahead of your presentation, just let me know. But yep. It's also important to explain what a club coach isn't. For instance, a club coach isn't there to do the work of the club officers.
Yes, you are getting ahead of me. It is definitely coming up.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. I love the enthusiasm. We're just talking about the first visit and the first kind of piece here. So you're building rapport. You're talking about the Toastmaster core values as well as you're having these conversations, which for those of you who aren't aware, the Toastmaster core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. So when you're thinking about these as a club coach, for integrity, how can you show integrity in your actions? For respect, how can you demonstrate respect toward the feelings, efforts, and opinions of others? Basically, when people come up with ideas, don't just shoot them down. Ask questions, get curious, find out what would have to happen in order for that to occur. Service. How can you prioritize giving service to others in the Club Coach program? You're there to serve them and help them grow and learn. And yes, in return, you will get things too, but really you're there for service. And then excellence. How can you demonstrate excellence in your actions and recognize excellence in others? So I believe it was David who brought up the point of making sure to do club educationals, share information with them, help the clubs think of things that they can do that can add value to their club. So you're really looking at the excellence. What tools are available that you can direct officers to that they can then direct club members to as well. So really thinking about that excellent piece. All right, so setting expectations. So this is one of the pieces for coach deliverables, my bad. Wrong slide. Coach deliverables. So what does a coach need to do kind of as they're thinking about their role? The first thing that they have to do, why is this not showing up? My weird animation here. So within the first 30 days, they need to submit a club coach preliminary report to the district director and club coach chair. This isn't hard, it's very basic, and you just send that along, basically going over some of the conversations you've had in the first month after your appointment. Every 60 days, you're going to submit a club coach progress report to the club coach chair, and that's just showing the progress that you've done towards your goals. You're also going to complete a final report at the end of the term as club coach chair to the district director and club growth chair. This is going to show basically you're done your term and give you the information of them being able to reach the distinguished. Another tool that's available is a 360 evaluation and completed by the officer after the club coach term has ended. I actually strongly encourage people to use this evaluation throughout your coaching process with the club. Maybe every 6 months, every quarter, whatever you decide is right. It's always good to get feedback, and this is a great way to do that. And so I encourage you to use those different things. But this is basically, as a coach, besides coaching the club, this is what you're responsible for delivering in the different periods of time. Not super time consuming. I've seen the reports, but it's just something to make sure you stay on track. Now let's talk about setting expectations. So within the first 30 days, that's supposed to say, expectations for your partnership. So what's the purpose of the club coach program? Go over that. I just shared a couple slides ago what the program's designed to do. What's the role of the coach? Or to Tom's point, what is not the role of a coach? The coach should not be doing everything for the club. The coach is there to coach your executive team and your club members to help them create the club environment they want, because they're not going to join the club. They can't join the club during their coach term. So they have to teach and help the club along to be able to do things themselves. So when they are no longer the coach, the club can still function on their own and move forward with the tools and the information that they've learned. Expectation for communication between the club officers and club coach. That's very important. How often are you going to communicate? What form are you going to communicate in? Are you going to email once a week? Are you going to talk right after club meetings as well? What is the communication? And I would also even kind of put this a little bit further. If you happen to be a co-coach, so if there are two coaches there, set up that expectation and communication between you and the other coach. How are you going to communicate with each other? I remember during my time coaching, I was also a co-coach, and I remember the person who I co-coached with, Daryl. We got our DTMs at the same time. But I remember it was such a great experience because we offset each other. But we also had regular conversations after the meeting with the executive team. And then we would call them coaches summits, where we would go for a walk outside at our place of employment. And we would talk about, what do we think is going on? What do we think are some ideas that we can help coach the executive team to do something differently? Or, hey, that was a really great meeting. How can we recognize them? So it's really important that you not only have a communication plan for yourself and the officers, but also if you have a co-coach, having that communication plan between you and the co-coaches. And think about the strengths and the weaknesses of the clubs and ideas for improvements. What's really important here is that you also highlight the strengths. Yes, the club is struggling. There's a reason that they need a coach, but you also need to recognize what strengths they have and how well they're doing in different areas, because that's going to encourage them to keep doing those things. Similar to when you think of an evaluation in Toastmasters. What did they do well? What could they do better? And what should they challenge themselves with? We want to make sure to have a balanced thing there so that people are aware of what they're doing well as well, so they can keep doing that well. All right, questions or comments at this point?
Does the coach have a coach?
That is a great question. So in a future slide, which we can get to, basically you have, we're going to get to the support. So I'm going to get to that later. And you do have an option if you want a mentor as well as a coach. For being a coach, you can have a mentor coach. We have several DTMs in this district who have coached before. We can certainly tap on those people to help, but I'll go into what resources are available as well. Any other questions? All right, so next up we have creating an action plan. So as a club coach, you want to make sure you're creating the officers are creating the action plan, but you're helping them with it. So at minimum, the club action plan should include a focus on the quality of the meetings, not just membership growth. Of course, you're there to help with membership growth, they're under 12 members or 12 members or less. But really, you should be focused on the quality of the meeting as well as membership growth. You should have measurable objectives. You should have a timeline and specific actions for individuals to take. Great tools to help you be able to create this action plan is helping the officers do their distinguished club plan. Also, lead a moments of truth with the club officers and club members. These will then bring out items that you can talk about that, hey, how can we make our better quality club meeting, which you saw in the beginning, what an ideal club has. And also, what items do we need to work on? What do we need to create measurable objectives on? Yeah, we need membership, but maybe we're not having full agendas. How do we focus on having a full agenda and one person per role? How do we focus on making sure that we welcome our guest? How do we make sure that we recognize people when they've completed educationals? So there's a whole bunch of things that you can focus on. The key is to make sure that it's measurable and that you have a timeline. You don't have to think about by June of next year. You can make it as easy as by December, we want to make sure that our agenda is filled before every meeting, not when we get to the meeting, but before every meeting. And we want to make sure that we have people completing level 1 because there's an educational component there. And we also want to make sure that we have at least 5 new members by December. If we each bring a friend every meeting, it's easy to do that. And you can run some contests as well. So create an action plan. I know right now, 2211, the club I belong to, we have 20 members, but we still run educational fun things. For example, we're doing Bring a Friend. Between now and December, everybody who brings a friend gets entered into a gift card giveaway for each friend that they bring. We're actually breaking it up into September and October. We're gonna draw a name in November for anybody who brought a guest, and then the same thing for November and December. So it's really great to kind of incentivize people to bring guests, and that's a great way to build membership on top of that. Let's see, next up, as a club coach, you want to make sure you're recognizing achievements. So recognizing achievements that the club's doing helps empower and helps people feel really good about it, encourages them to participate. So focus on the quality of meeting, not just the membership growth as well. So celebrate milestones. Did somebody just have a birthday? Did somebody just get married? Did somebody graduate? Like, think about the holistic person. Did somebody just complete level 1? Did somebody just celebrate 5 years in Toastmasters? Like, think about all the different things that you can celebrate. Get used to celebrating and over celebrate. Like, it's absolutely okay. You can utilize social media to even do more celebration as well. So you can post about, hey, my Toastmaster friend just celebrated 5 years. Come check out Toastmasters with me and see why they stayed 5 years. Like, you can leverage your own social media to do that. You can share that your club just completed 1 credit to get 4 educationals. Come check out our club to see how we got 4 educationals. So you can utilize social media to help recognize achievements as well. Or, hey, that was a great meeting. We had every role filled. Or, hey, John, you just had your first time as Toastmaster and you did fantastic. Wait, when they bring guests, celebrate the guest. I know in 2211 we regularly asked our guests if they're willing to do table topics, and if they say yes and they do it, like, we celebrate them at the end. Congratulations on doing your first table topics. Like, great job. Celebration cannot, or recognizing people is not something that people shouldn't do. Like, we should do it. So that's my spiel on recognizing. So now we're going to get to, anything else anybody wants to add as they're thinking about the last 2 pieces that I just talked about, creating an action plan, recognizing achievements. Anything anybody else wants to add before I move on to what our club coach support is?
Are there helpful templates for people, or they're creating all these on their own? These
For the action plan?
Like, what's a tickler reminder for somebody who's a coach
Yep.
to see this other than this slide presentation?
Yeah, so if they're actually running the DCP plan or the moments of truth, that's where you're going to pull out those different pieces. So that's basically, it's a living, growing document that includes that stuff there. It includes educational, it includes recognition, it includes membership. So these are the places where people can go to look back at their documents and set those measurable goals and those timelines. So you should be really leveraging those. Did you have another thought around that?
No, it's so that's what you're saying, is use the members action plan as your guide which
Mhm.
I totally get, because that's in my notes. But I was curious if there were other like templates that somebody would actually pull from as ticklers. But
Yeah.
that's makes sense.
So David has been around a lot longer. He's a trainer. He's got access. David, are there other tools or templates available for people besides the DCP and Moments of Truth that they can leverage to help with their action plan?
Well, somebody just put it in a chat. If you look at, became the club success plan.
Yeah, that's a DCP.
Right.
That's the
Totally.
DCP.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Perfect.
that's a DCP.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so now let's talk about club coach support. So club coach support, what do you have for support? So they're a monthly meeting with other coaches. I host that meeting as the club coach chair. It's a time to come in and have the coaches talk to each other, hear what's going well, hear what challenges are there. It happens once a month. We change the date and the time to help accommodate more coaches as well. So it's not a set in stone date and time, because I want to be flexible to the people who are coming in. We started this year with 2 coaches, and we are up to, I believe, almost 6 now. So we want to be flexible on the time, and we're growing. We have 10 clubs that need coaches, and we're working to fulfill that as well. So this is going to grow and ebb and flow. So you have those monthly meetings with other coaches. Part of that meeting is hearing about what's going well, what's the challenges are. The other part is introducing tools that are available on TI, Toastmasters International, that you can utilize for different things. So some things I've already talked about, which are the 360, the 60-day plan. Some of those things I've already discussed, but there are other tools out there for club coaches as they're thinking about doing things. So we'll kind of highlight one or two of those tools in that meeting. We might have some guest speakers. I know David Cormier has volunteered to come to one of those meetings and help do a training for us. So we might have a visitor come and share some information as well. You might hear from success stories from other people as I hear about other success stories. Bring those in, hear kind of what those coaches have done. So you have those meetings. You also have resources 24/7 available on Toastmasters International. You have a direct connection in with the club coach chair, which is myself, and the district leadership. I give my, and she's called me several times, or I me several times, just had questions or thoughts, and her and I have had conversations and how we think about it, and really helping her mindset. So it's been really cool to do that. And that's one of the things that I am really excited about in this club coach program, is coaching the coaches. It's supporting them and helping them and giving them the tools and watching them emerge as amazing individuals I already know that they are, and having them get that confidence boost and seeing that different leadership skill developed. So it's really cool. That's what